Hey there, my name is Irina Leoni. I am a former professional photographer for many years, and now I am a brand visualizer, and I run this channel, this YouTube channel, to help people understand how to build better visuals, how to make them work faster for you, and how to make those visuals tell deeper stories. I'm obsessed with visuals. I know a lot about them, and I want to just talk about it and teach you guys everything that I know. And I have become obsessed with Instagram stories. This is such a fascinating format that I see that in the United States specifically, people are not using it enough. So I started watching stories of very specific people who are personal brands, people who are experts in some niche. They have businesses, they have real businesses, or they sell info products, or they're coaches. These people have a really interesting skill. They run stories that I am obsessed with. By obsessed, I mean that I often log into Instagram to see if the person has posted anything. And yes, I know you're gonna say to me, turn on notifications, Irina. No, I am not turning on Instagram notifications. That is a danger zone. My notifications are off, and I log in when I have time, when I'm relaxing. It could be also sometimes my reward. I log into Instagram and I see if my favorite people have posted stories that day, and I watch them. I comment on them, I react with them, I consume them. I'm satisfied, I move on with my life. And the whole point of stories is to create a deeper connection with the people who are already following you. What do we see the majority of people do out there on the market? Tell me what you see the most. I see people sharing reposts of some other accounts. Mostly these are reposts that are not targeting any pain point. They're not targeting creating a deeper connection with anybody. They're just reposts. It's like, I don't know, Instagram masturbation. You're just sharing information that excites you, and you couldn't care less what your followers think of it, whether they share your affiliations, your political interests, or anything. You just share, and you like, I don't care. You can come or go, you can stay or leave. I'm going to share what I want. I don't watch such people, even if I agree with their affiliations and interests. It's just not interesting. You probably agree with me too. You come to Instagram to spend some time, have a good time, pick up some valuable information, perhaps something light, and you are not looking to be challenged. You are not looking necessarily to stand up to a cause, unless there is something going on, some major event in a country or in your locality, and you want to speak up and you want to follow what's going on. Yes, it's a whole different story. But on an ongoing basis, in our day-to-day life, we don't come to Instagram for that. We come to Instagram to chill, to relax, to have a little fun, and to allow it to take the stress away from our everyday life, and yada yada yada. Long story short, I'm obsessed with Instagram stories that are done well. How do you do Instagram stories well? Actually, as soon as I realized that I'm obsessed with these people and their stories, I wanted to know how they do it. And so I joined the training of one of them. And if you watched my vlog from last year, around September-ish, I was actually telling about what I'm discovering, what I'm experiencing, what I'm going through with this blogger training. I call it blogger training. It's not necessarily a blog. It's not a blog per se. It's a person just running a really good personal content to connect deeper with the people who are their former students, future students, current students, whoever they are, in the stage of life where they're connected with this person and with this personal brand. That's all. And they do it in a very specific way. And I want to record a whole little training on how it's done, but I also want to share some glimpses of it here today, and this is what this video is supposed to be about. This is probably a very long intro, and I hope the person who edits this makes it snippety snip and just make it sound faster. Okay, so what makes the Instagram stories so fascinating to me? Basically, it's the personal content. Yes, sometimes there is a storytell, there's a day or two or three where the person is sharing some expert content, and I do that too. I show up not just as myself, as a woman, as Irina, as an immigrant, as a mother, as a photographer, as a former photographer, as a brand. I often share some tips and I give some interesting insight in my stories as well. But most of the time, they're my personal life. They're just my personal life. They're my goals. They're where I come from, their context about me, where I come from, what are my goals. And people, for some reason, are obsessed watching what I do to reach my goals. And I'm the same way. It becomes, there's a seriality to our life that is fascinating to people. And as a brand visualizer, I am fascinated with this fascination. So I want to dig in and I want to study it and I want to practice it and I want to experience it. I want to experience it as a creator, and I am experiencing it as a consumer of these people's content, of these people's Instagram stories. So what is it that we're doing in these stories that becomes so attractive? It's the context. The context is the most important thing. How to set the context. I probably need to record a separate story of that, a separate video on that. It's not hard actually, but it's a habit. This is a muscle that we need to train because it's not so easy to just start running good stories right off the bat. You have to start practicing at some point. You have to make a decision to get good at it and follow some people who are good at it. Like me, I think I'm pretty good by now. And repeat what they do, study with them if possible. I don't have a training, I'm not selling a training. This is just to share some information with you guys. Setting the context. The context is who we are, where we come from, where we're going. And we have to do this repeatedly all the time, even if we think that our people, our followers already know everything about us. They don't. People pay only half of their attention at best at all times. They don't read every slide we're posting. They're missing a lot of information. They don't remember. They have their own lives, their own drama to deal with. They do not remember our context. We need to constantly remind them, bring them in. And even if you keep repeating the same thing, you're always saying it in a different way. So it's always a slightly different angle to your personality that is being explored here, that is being revealed here. So the context is the most important thing. Without the context, it's impossible to follow you. It's impossible to be interested because out of context, we don't know what's going on, why you're doing what you're doing, and how you're feeling about it. Those are the most important things. I find it incredibly interesting. This is number 2, by the way. I find it incredibly interesting to see how other people feel about situations that I could have been in or was or yada yada. It could have been somebody living in a big city, for example, right? They have this experience of living in a big city. It's very urban. There's a lot going on. It's noisy. There's imagine New York City, living in New York City. I lived in New York City for a couple of months, did not like it. Yet, I would totally watch stories of somebody who lives in New York City and loves it and talks about how they love it, why they love it, what does it do for them, how it energizes them, how they feel the city vibes. It's fascinating. It's like living somebody else's life through their stories, through their voice, through their words, through their images. It's really cool. So sharing your feelings, sharing the context is one thing. Sharing your feelings. How do you feel about things that you're sharing? Why do you feel a certain way? You have to go deep to explore your personality and to show your personality. This is where people actually discover who you are. And those that like you, they will stay. They will stay for a long time. You might be the only person they come to Instagram to see. It's true. I have several people who I follow who were, in some point in my life, the only person I would come to Instagram to watch. The only person. Everybody else who was in my feed was just randomly happened to be there because I follow them, and that's it. But I would come there to watch the stories of that person, wherever they were going through in their life. Number 3 is we think that we have to have this amazing and interesting life to be fascinating to people. The truth is, we do not. We do not, we do not, we do not. One of the most obsessive people that I'm following actually lives a very ordinary life. She's extremely disciplined, dedicated to her routine, dedicated to building her habits, and I love watching her. I mean, I would admit that her stories, to my taste, are a bit too long when she's sharing about her workouts. I think 15 seconds is more than enough. I don't need to watch a 1-minute video of you lifting things at the gym. That's just me. So I would always cut my workout stories shorter, 15 seconds, and that's it. People who want to read the text that I put in there can hold the slide with their thumb while they're reading it, then they release and watch the rest of the video and move on or slide through. So yes, or the other blogger, for example, had bought a minivan and decided to go traveling with her dog and 2 cats, and that's great too. And but she is living a really difficult life. I mean, she likes that life. To me, I do not. I do not want to live in a van. I do not want to have 3 animals. That's all of this is a lot too much for me. But I still come back and watch, even if she talks about fixing the drain or something is leaking in her van, something is always breaking down, and it actually annoys the hell out of me because I do not like to live such complicated life. I like my life very simple so that I have room to create, to read, to think, to write, to create, you know? I don't want anything leaking. I don't want my ordinary life to be so complicated that I have to really learn and figure things out every day. I would be so burnt out. But she loves it. It's for her, and that's great. But I love watching her stories. She's doing them really well. So here are 2 completely different people, and I'm telling you, it's completely unimportant whether you have this amazingly interesting life that nobody else would imagine living or somebody would envy. I would imagine there's a lot of people who would envy a van life. I'm not one of them. That's the truth. So these are the 3 things about the personal stories that are so fascinating. And I think that we, as personal brand business owners, if we exercise this little muscle and make storytelling a part of our routine, it's not hard. It's actually quite easy. You can do it super fast. When I first started in that training, creating stories, especially when I do the storytell, there's the beginning, there's the middle, there's a drama, there's an up and down, there's a rhythm, and there's a finale, and then you wrap it up. This is a storytell. We don't do storytell every day. That's hard. If we create storytell, it's something important that we want to share, and we put it in highlights and it stays there, and we use these highlights to send people to, from reels, from posts, from wherever. It's like a permanent installation. You don't let it disappear in 24 hours. Okay? When I first started learning this technique, creating the stories for the day as a homework took me anywhere between 2 and 4 hours. I could not keep that up. There is no way in hell I'm spending so much on my content until I realized that, first of all, we don't need to do these long storytells every day. It's a rhythm. You want to vary things. You want to vary your content. You don't just post reels in the same format over and over and over again. People stop paying attention to you. You need to change things up all the time. And so the same thing is with stories. Sometimes it's a long storytell where you go deep, where you use elements of drama, where you use the beginning intrigue and hooks and unraveling the story, and then there's the grand finale with the lesson or whatever, or it's just pictures of you walking with your dog and it's rainy and you're smiling because you're happy or something, whatever you want to share that day. And it's like one slide and that's all. Unimportant. The rhythm is what's important here. So we don't want to create these long story tells. It doesn't have to take you between 2 and 4 hours. In the beginning, yes, it might, but by now I am so quick at this. It's easy. It's incredibly easy to create such content. And I think that these are the things that make our connections with whoever is already following you, whoever you're already attracted in your Instagram account, in your YouTube account, wherever it is that people are coming from to your Insta stories. This is where we really create meaningful, deep connections with them. We talk to them, we ask them questions, they answer us, they reply. Sometimes they send me these long texts talking about themselves, and it's wonderful. I'm living my life experiencing theirs. I think it's fascinating. It's great. It's a wonderful social media tool. I'm obsessed with it, and I recommend that you check it out. Stick around my channel. I would love to see you in the next videos, where I'll be sharing all the things that I know about visuals that we use for building our personal brands, visuals that we use in Instagram a lot. I love Instagram. I am in Instagram a lot. So there is that. There's Reels, there's Insta Stories, there's shooting photos, shooting clips, shooting content on the go, making it as simple as possible, as efficient as possible, as effective as possible. I want your visuals to work for you and build you a better, stronger business faster. That's my goal. Again, my name is Irina Leoni. Subscribe to this channel and I'll see you around. Bye.